that even just like putting in a little bit of effort to store it in some sort of way, whether that's handwriting or even just scanning it, like there's something about that that like puts that information deeper into your mind and your heart that just like reading it a couple times in your book will not do, you know? Welcome back to the Rooted Minds podcast, where we come together as a family to talk about books and our emotions. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about journaling our reading experience and just what it means for us to make books a part of our story, for them to become lasting experiences and not just one-time moments where we have this great time with a book and then it doesn't come with us into our future. And so what I want to talk about first is just why it matters that we preserve books and why it matters that we carry it into our future. So what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I feel like remembering is just so important in general.
Yeah.
To remember, it's so easy to walk away from something that you feel like really moved you and then it not change anything. So we have to be intentional about remembering, first off.
Yes.
To hold anything that's valuable.
Because sometimes I can have this idea in my head that I'm going to remember everything that's happening in the book and all these great moments.
Because it's so meaningful while you're in it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Then it just feels like it fades.
And then it feels like it goes away.
Yeah, I mean, I think a reason why it's like important to preserve them is because it kind of is like a lifestyle of consuming versus like truly digesting something. And as an artist, like I deeply value this kind of perspective in life where I'm not just taking things, consuming them, and leaving them behind, like that consumerism mindset, but valuing, digesting, and like
actually taking the nutrients from something.
Yeah, and it honors like the creative thing that was made.
And just recognizing in that it takes time to fully digest something.
It does.
Well, and even just thinking about the time that I've invested in reading, to not keep like a personal library of the wisdom that I've received, just kind of almost reminds me of James when he's talking about, you know, somebody who reads the word and doesn't do it is like a man who looks in the mirror and walks away and can't remember what he looks like. But he who looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues to do it, not forgetting what he's heard, but does it, he will be, you know, blessed in what he does. And so even though these books that we're talking about are not necessarily all scripture, like when they represent something that is true or good or beautiful, they're representing things of God. And to look at that and see that and walk away and forget is like forgetting who I am.
Wow.
So it's really important to find some way to hold on to that and remember it.
So
good. And when you do the work, to allow yourself to engage the story in your imagination, especially, then it becomes like this kind of thing, this conversation that you could go back to in your mind and think, man, I learned that from this guy or this woman or whatever. And you can sort of rethink those same thoughts and allow it to become part of your thoughts. And it's because you learned it from someone else, you know, and that whole story in your imagination, especially again, if you've done the work to allow yourself to do that, become kind of like signposts in a way that you can take into your own circumstances.
That's really
good. And then sometimes when you start having that conversation and you take it with you into the future, it starts to mean new things based on different seasons of life that you're in.
Yeah, that's so good.
So what are some ways that we can sort of capture books in this way and make them part of our story? Because there's a lot of different ways to do this, some that require more effort, some that require less. All of them are beautiful, and over, you know, the course of our family loving stories and doing this, we've had a lot of different ways of doing this. So what are some ways that we capture books like this?
Yeah, well, this is like one of my favorite topics. I've loved keeping like a commonplace book. You know, whenever I was really big into bullet journaling or whatever. You know, and like it's just beautiful and writing out the beautiful words. Because one thing I think that was really compelling for me in that topic was that I wanted these words to infiltrate my conversation. Like, do you ever have those like weird things that you're good at that you don't really care to be good at? Like,
Yeah.
movie quotes live rent free in my head most days. And that is like cool party trick maybe, but also very frustrating. I'd rather scripture live rent free or quotes from books that really impacted me.
Yeah.
And so something about a commonplace book was a tool that I could use to help my brain take in some new like richer content that could impact or influence conversations I was having, because I want that kind of language to shape how I talk.
Yeah.
But it's not always practical for me to just handwrite them all beautifully. So another like faster tool that I've used is Readwise. It's an app, and I'm sure it has a paid version, but I use the free version, and you can take a picture of the book and it'll highlight the quote and it'll keep it sorted in that, you can have like 20 or 100 quotes from that book.
Yeah.
But then you can like search for any quote that I have on sacrifice or any quote that I have on love, and it'll bring those up. Yeah. And it makes it great for like if you're writing papers to have.
So true. It was so helpful for me writing my senior thesis.
Exactly. So that's just one of my favorite quick tools to hold on to those things.
And I've found with specifically like commonplace journals and this type of making books a part of your story, that even just like putting in a little bit of effort to store it in some sort of way, whether that's handwriting or even just scanning it, like there's something about that like puts that information deeper into your mind and your heart that just like reading it a couple times in your book will not do, you know?
Like tells yourself it's valuable.
Exactly.
Almost.
One way that I've always loved in this kind of conversation is kind of a creative response. I love like drawing scenes from books. I have this memory of when I was reading Out of the Silent Planet, I tried to imagine what the creatures looked like and what the world, the planets they were on looked like, because they had lots of descriptions, like,
but it's so wild.
It's so abstract. Like I could draw anything. Like the ground is pink. I'm like, oh, okay, the ground is pink, but is it grass? Is it sandy? I don't know. But because I like took that time to draw it, it has sunk so deep into my mind.
You're still talking about it.
I'm still talking about it, and that was quite a few years ago.
Yeah, so true.
But like I've done this with like scripture, like I read a chapter and I just make little doodles connected to things I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And for me, that like locks in thoughts or reactions I'm having or meaningful things that are meaningful to me because that's what I'm drawing.
Well, it's so funny you even say that, because I remember one time I was your tutor for class and we were talking about, I think it was A Tale of Two Cities, and you drew all the characters on the board like in a circle.
Oh yeah.
And then we talked about their different connections and how they were all connected, but like I can still see the picture that you drew. Like your art made it connect for me better too.
Wow.
So that was just want to encourage you in that.
Thank you.
That's good. One thing that I was thinking about that I actually wanted to sort of acknowledge too is that there are different kinds of books that we read. It's like Captain Obvious, but that also makes a difference. It because of that, it may change how you interact with it. It may change how you take notes from it, what you do with it to help it become part of your journey. And one of the things that I've done in the past that has I felt have been super helpful is just writing in my book, highlighting, making notes, giving myself permission to mess up the pages a little
annotate
bit. Annotating, exactly. Drawing arrows or writing questions, highlighting by type of things, for example.
And I honestly have found that so fun because, like, as the youngest, like, the books have gone all the way down the chain through me, and generally they're annotated, and if they're annotated well, I personally think it's almost better reading them with annotation because it's like you're reading it with somebody or something. Like, I get
You're joining our conversation.
Exactly, like it's a whole group of people. Like, there was this one book where I have a bunch of cousins and it passed through like almost all of them and we all annotated. By the time it got to me, it was like all of us having a conversation about this
American
book.
documents.
It was like so much fun. It was so much better than having to just read it, you know? So.
And that's cool for me here because I was on the front end of that
Like,
line.
sorry, I wrote in all your books.
Yeah, but it's cool to know that like the random stuff that I was thinking that I wrote in there, like you were experiencing later.
Yeah.
Well, and just like one other thought I had was recently I've been looking through my mom's old calendars. And sometimes at the top of the calendar, she would write a quote from a book she was reading at that time.
Yeah.
And just seeing like what things that she wanted to hold on to helped me see what she valued. And
cool.
it's just like a really cool legacy moment, even thinking about like why you would want to write things down.
Yeah.
Because you're also preserving like your own values to pass on to the next generation.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's so good.
There was this quote that she wrote down one time that's like stuck with me of like something that she really valued and honestly walked out, which is, I won't ask you why this is happening, Lord, but how can I be faithful here? And it was like one of those moments where it wasn't her words and it was. You know, like she often used these quotes to speak. I don't know how to say that, but like
to say things in ways that she couldn't express.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's like really important that we're kind of highlighting here is that like the system that you choose or that you work with, it can change. It doesn't have to be perfect because the goal is just to retain what matters most to you and what you're reading. And to, as we're saying, like what matters to you specifically in the time of life that you're in. Like you don't have to think about, you know, what you might need in the future or because I think that can put a lot of pressure on us to capture everything that's in the book.
Yeah.
And then it gets overwhelming because you're trying to write down everything that's happening or even you're trying to, you know, create a whole outline of the book and every detail of what's happening.
Yeah.
I think that way sometimes.
Yeah, it's very real, you know.
Yeah.
Like if I get a highlighter, I'm just gonna highlight the whole page because everything's important. But that like clarification is helpful.
Yeah, and so I like that you know, like you're talking about how like even just a little doodle can help you retain something or just writing some drawing arrows in your book and underlining, you know, or just writing like one quote down from the book, even if it's just one, you know, that really mattered to you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to have all the context of what was happening in it.
You know, another thing that I'm thinking about like learning how to read from my mom, one of the things that she liked to do is tell the story back. I mean, it's just like a narration and narratio, you know, like how can you tell somebody else the story?
Yeah.
And in telling somebody else the story stays a little bit longer.
Yes.
You know, and if you practice telling the story over and over, then that incident or that thing that really impacted you can become like part of who you are and part of how you think and part of what matters to you.
Yeah.
That's so good. And that's one of the more important parts too about creating these kinds of things is more than just like you being able to read over it later. It's about like for the sake of like being able to share it with other people, you know, because as you know, sort of collect these quotes and ideas that are circling around your values and helping you develop your values. When you share them with other people, then it's sort of like it's this mutual thing that happens
Yeah.
where, you know, they resonate or they bounce back with ideas, you know, or just your values and things you're sharing impact them, like you said about her art, you know. And so what are some like other ways that we can like, or like why maybe it's important to like share or how it deepens our understanding and those types of things?
Well, I feel like for me, whenever I share something, it's almost like as I'm sharing it, I'm getting more like clarifying, articulating my thoughts of how I feel about it than if I just am trying to like figure it out in my own head for some reason and like like as I'm sharing it clarifies.
As you like articulate, verbalize your thoughts, you start processing more and bouncing ideas off of somebody else. Maybe they ask a question like, wait, what happened here? Or and you're like, oh yeah, that's a big part of the story I forgot to say. It's like teaching you on what details are important to
Yeah.
share, because as somebody who doesn't know
true.
the story, they're like, wait, what happened to the main character? Why are we in a side plot here? Like,
And it
Did
teaches
it
you
ever
how to tell a
resolve?
good story.
And part of the
yeah.
great part about that too is that even if all the pieces aren't there, you're now asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in a conversation
Mm-hmm.
about it. Like if the sharing leads to that conversation, which leads to connection, which leads to growth.
It's really good.
It's so good.
And you're sharing with somebody who has a different perspective than you, even if it's your sibling,
Right.
even if you've grown up in the same house, they have a different perspective to challenge maybe how you received a certain character,
Yeah.
how you received, the way the book ended. Maybe they have an insight into something that will
Right.
continue to grow your understanding or appreciation of the book.
Yeah, that's so good. And just being able to like grow your understanding of it just by itself is so valuable, because a lot of times, the books that we're reading, just words in general, they have so much depth to them and layers, and so having a dialogue with someone that has a different perspective, like you said, like it uncovers those layers bit by bit. Well,
Yeah.
journaling is such a powerful experience, and it's something that we've all gotten a lot of value from. And so if you have like questions or anything about what this might look like for you, then please comment on the video. We would love to have a discussion with you about this and what that might look like. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for joining us today on the Rooted Minds podcast, discussing how we can really engage with the books we read through journaling. We would love to hear your thoughts, so please comment below. Until next time, may you find joy, grace, and peace in the pages you turn.